All right, we're live on the air. Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, May 10th, 2018. Welcome to the Sweet Talk. My name is Kim Matina. I am a Google certified trainer and a top contributor in the Google for Education Help Forum. Today, I'm very happy to have on the show Christine
Monge.
Monge,
Mon-
sorry. And Christine is a film and media arts teacher at Modern Day High School
mhm.
in Santa Ana, California. So she's going to share with us how she uses Google Slides and Hyperdocs. So we usually think of Hyperdocs in a Google document and having everything a one-stop shop inside the Google document. Well, Christine uses Google Slides instead of Google Docs to create Hyperdocs. And I really think it's a creative way to use Google Slides. It's just another option because Google Slides is such a great app. So I'm going to let Christine take it away, and she's going to go over how she uses her workflow.
Okay. Well, Google Slides I feel are perfect for Hyperdocs, mainly because it makes it very easy to embed videos. And I use a lot of video in my classroom, and Google Slides allows me to embed the video easily into the Hyperdoc, and that way my kids aren't going off into YouTube land. It's just right there for them to watch. And I put a whole unit into one Google Slide Hyperdoc. So they have their, the whole workflow. And if I happen to be absent or I'm not at school for some reason, they have a sub, it's really easy for them to just open that Google Slide and follow through and just keep working on the unit on their own. So,
Awesome. That's awesome. I really can't wait to see how you created your Hyperdoc
okay.
or your
Well,
HyperSlides.
yeah. Well, okay, so here, let me just show you an example of a unit that I do. So I'll go to screen share. Okay, so everything is in here. You can see this is like the top slide with and I use Bitmojis a lot. I'm able to put our ISOs in there. I have the lesson objective with the essential question. And then I do like an explore where they tell there's links on here for articles, and I have the 2 commercials here. Then I go to my watch, think, jot. And then down here, we're talking about a story arc. There's another video embedded. So the example and the assessment for this is right in here. So they create their story arc. This right here is a link to a Google Doc where they can create their story arc, and then they submit it through Blackboard. Then we have how we apply and what we're going to do, and they're going to create a 30-second commercial. So this gives all the instructions for that, and then at the end, I always have a reflective part. So I'll put in Flipgrid, I'll put in a link to a Padlet or something else like that. So that's a simple unit. So they can be as long or as short as you want them.
So when they respond to your assignment in the Hyperdoc, they are clicking on the icons to create their responses like a Google Doc, you said?
Oh, yeah, I'll have, I usually do, like if there's a Google Doc that I want them to share, I'll just put that link in there, the shared Google Doc. Then if it could be a collaborative slide presentation that I want them to do, so there'll be the link to that collaborative slide activity. I like to put I like to have a lot of those as a backup, the collaborative Google Slide activity for when I'm out, like for a sub or something, and I just have them, and I have all the kids' names on, like, assigned to each slide, and I just make copies of it. That way I could just, at the beginning, at the front of the slide, put the directions, and then they find their slide and they do the assignment right on that slide.
Okay,
Um,
that's a good idea.
yeah, so I'll either, this year we're using Blackboard, so what I usually do is I'll do a forced copy of whatever I need to do of the whole unit. But within that, there are the links either to a collaborative document or something else that I want them to do separately will be like a forced copy, so they have to make a copy and then put it into Blackboard. I used Google Classroom last year, and that worked really well, but they wouldn't let me use it this year. So, and next year we're moving to Canvas, which really interacts well with Google. So, and Google Drive. So it'll be a lot easier for me to do that.
Yeah, that was my next question. I was going to ask you about Google Classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
Yeah, that works. Google Classroom works great with slides, especially when you're doing a collaborative slide activity. You can put that in. You're not making a copy for each student. There's one slide presentation. Each student does their slide. Then when you grade it and they present it, I just put that slide up, the slide presentation up, and we just flip through the slides, and each student comes up, does their presentation, and then I just grade them as I go.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So do you find that the students are they more on task when they're using the HyperDoc, or especially because you have the videos in there, so you don't see them like getting off task or surfing the web as much as if you weren't using a HyperDoc?
No, I can really tell the difference. My kids stay on task because they know I walk them through it, and I kind of go through the whole unit first. I'm like, this is what you're going to do here. This is what you're going to do here. If I'm not here, this is what you're going to do. And we go through each thing. And I find that they really stay on task, especially, if I have the video right there and I want them to respond. So they're watching the videos. Sometimes we'll watch them together as a class. Sometimes I'll watch them individually, but they're always more on task than if I'm just lecturing. If I'm just lecturing and giving them stuff, then I can tell they're on YouTube, they're doing other things, they're not on that slide presentation. So that really helps with them following along with what I'm teaching.
And do you think that it helps them keep track of what they need to do?
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you number your assignments in the Google Slide HyperDoc, each assessment, and then keep that corresponding number in of what they have to turn in Google Classroom. It's like, okay, this is assessment number 3, and then number 3 in Google Classroom. So if you match them up, and then it matches up, then I try to match them up in Aries, so everything is numbered. So that really helps them follow along.
Yeah.
And then there's some stuff that's informative assessment, where I'm just seeing what they learn, like Flipgrid and stuff. I don't necessarily grade it, but they still have to do it. And what I love, especially about things like Flipgrid, is I can actually watch them work and see what their responses are. I can mirror it up on our TV, and they can see what everyone is doing.
Right. Yeah. Flipgrid's a great tool for that, for reflection.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing about using like a HyperDoc, especially in Google Slides, is if they're working, and let's say I'm at home sick, I can watch them work. It's like I know my class at 10:15. I go into Google, I watch, I can see what they're doing. I can even comment while they're doing. So I can always see exactly what kids are on task, what who is and who isn't.
So if you're not using Google Classroom, you're using Blackboard, you said.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you create the initial post for them to access the HyperDoc? Okay.
It's a link. It's a forced copy. So I'll put that in there with a forced copy. They all make a copy. It goes in, they know to, we start off the year, we create a whole folder, just like you would in Google Classroom. They put that copy in there, and so they always have it, and they can refer back to it. I like it too because that's like an instant study guide, because all my resources are in there. Their articles, the videos, everything is in that one whole, for the whole unit is in that slide presentation. So if I'm going to give a test or something, I don't have to give them a study guide. It's
It's
just
all in there.
all right there. They have it all the time.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I like that. So how do you break down your hyper your hyper slides? I want to say.
Um,
How do you break them down? What do you include in there, like, so that
I
it includes, from the beginning to the end?
Well, I started out with a longer um, model and found that it was kind of a lot and the kids kind of got lost in it. So I went back this year to a simpler, if I go on here, am I still screen sharing?
No.
Oh, okay, hold on. It's not. Here we go. So I always have let's go up here, this initial part with the lesson objective. So I've gone to this explore, explain, apply, which is very a simpler model. And then but I always end with that reflective piece.
Okay,
So,
so you put 4 components in there.
the 4 components: the explore, explain, apply, and the apply is usually a project.
Right, like for them actually creating the
Creating
assignment.
their video,
Yeah.
and the explain and the explore, those are usually like formative assessments where they're like watching videos, taking notes, making comments, having discussions and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
because I like that because it's simple, it's to the point.
mhm,
You're not overwhelming them with a lot of stuff. I'm actually using a HyperDoc right now for my students in computer science.
uh-huh.
Um, oh, so there you go. Now you're still sharing your screen. I still see
Oh,
me.
okay, hold on. There we go. Okay, there we go.
There we go. So like right now I'm using a HyperDoc for my 6th grade students. I teach middle school computer
Mhm,
science and I'm a tech integration coach. So I created a HyperDoc and I actually took the template from, I think it's the HyperDocs. I forgot the name of the website. I'll put it in the show notes.
oh, hyperdocs.co.
Yeah, I think so.
Teachers give teachers.
No, like let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. If I can find it, then we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, because I
Let's
took
see.
mine came from the Hyperdoc handbook, and um, the 3 girls who wrote it, I went to their website and then I kind of modified it.
Yeah, it's HyperDocs. Let me share my screen here. Can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can see my screen.
Uh-huh.
So if you go to hyperdocs.co
That's yeah.
slash
Uh-huh.
templates, they have all templates here for HyperDocs.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually borrowed, I have a few HyperDocs that I borrowed from here and I
Mm-hmm.
revised, but the one that I'm working on right now is this one. And you can see there's like 6 components to it. Explore, explain, apply, similar to yours. But then again, like what you did, I have a reflection. It's not a separate component, but it's included in the apply.
Right.
So, but
It's
yeah,
it, it's very that's I basically took that template and made it into a Google slide presentation as opposed to just a document.
yeah, I do like the slides idea better. But for anybody that doesn't know what a hyperdoc is, it's really a one-stop shop for
Mm-hmm.
your kids to stay on task and keep everything all together about
Mm-hmm.
either the unit or the lesson, so that the kids could just reference that one document. And in there, usually you have like your objective, your learning goal, your
Mm-hmm.
rubrics if you wanted. Like you have your videos, and I like how you implement the videos in the slides. You can have, you know, other resources available too. So that's basically what a hyperdoc is. And if you want to go to that website, hyperdocs.co, to learn more, there's a lot of free stuff on there, and there's a lot of informative information. But right now I'm using that template for co-spaces,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a virtual reality, augmented reality environment. So I have the kids watching videos, learning the interface, and then you know, practicing, and then the apply part is going to be their assignment. So it's actually it's a good way to keep the students organized and the teachers organized, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I find that it's very easy. I had all my HyperDoc units from last year in one Google folder in Drive. This year I have the ones that I did this year. I just took the modified ones and just copied them and then modified them for this year's curriculum. Next year I'll take them, make a copy of that folder, and just keep modifying them. And I find it's, because I'm always finding new things. I find new videos, I find new projects or whatever, or I'll think, oh, I'll add this into here. My goal eventually would be to put everything into like an interactive iBook where they could just go in like a hyper book, so to
Yeah,
speak.
and just flip through flip through the hyperdoc pages.
Yeah, and just go
Yeah.
through and get all the information, for each unit, but it's all right there because that's there's so much interaction you can do there too.
Yeah. Did you try using the book creator?
Well, my kids use Book Creator because we're an iPad school 1-to-1, so the kids all have iPads. So they'll use Book Creator for portfolios. We started using Google Sites last year, but my kids don't have Chrome on their iPads for weird reasons, so you can't access the new Google Sites in Safari. So we had to go. So we're doing something a little different. But I know a lot of the art teachers also use Book Creator for portfolios. I think it's a great tool. And I always tell my kids, it's you don't just put the work you do in my class. If you do a great video for religion or science or something like that, put that in there too, and then keep it going. I teach freshmen and sophomores, and I encourage them to keep it going through senior year, and then they can actually just have that when they leave.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the whole purpose,
Mm-hmm.
to build upon it. Did you ever look into Seesaw for digital portfolios?
We are using it right now in our coding class for digital portfolios. So I like that too. I haven't played with it enough to really get as much as I want out of it. So that might be something that we use next year. There's so many different tools that you can use. So I'm trying to figure out what's the best one for my students.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I don't have any experience with Seesaw. I have the students create their portfolios in Google Slides,
Mm-hmm.
just because like we're a Google for Education school district, and it's just easier to have everything within the Google ecosystem there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have to go in and assess all the students, and it's just easier if it's accessible through Google rather than a third party app. But I hear a lot of people do use Seesaw for portfolios, and they have a lot of positive feedback about it.
Right. I know the reason that we're using it in coding is because it's was part of the curriculum that Apple put together for their Swift Playgrounds. So we used it. But I really kind of like Book Creator, and I think that one, because that one you can put videos, and I like the fact that they can also export that to YouTube.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they can make a movie of it. They can um, export it as a PDF. They can, or an EPUB, whatever they want. So I like that.
Yeah, that's a good feature.
Mm-hmm.
They can export their book creator into an EPUB file.
Uh-huh.
Ah, I'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to check that out. I recently learned about Book Creator from someone that was on my show a few weeks ago, and I dabbled in it a little bit, and I was really like impressed. I'm thinking this is really a powerful tool, you know,
It,
like it's a lot of good uses. I can see all different teachers using Book Creator.
mm-hmm. I used it for, I don't know if you follow the hashtag, the Sketch 50 challenge. So where you did a different sketch note every day for 50 days.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
sketch notes. Yep.
so I did, each sketch note for 50 days. I did it in Adobe Sketch. And then I took all of those and I put them in Book Creator, and then I exported it as a YouTube video. So I was able to put that in on my YouTube channel to show all the sketch notes that I had
Oh,
created.
that's cool. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that. Is that with a free account or a premium account?
I have a premium account. My school's pretty good about giving you a premium account if you use it. So, but you can do that from the free account. With Book Creator, the free account just allows you to create one book.
Okay.
So you would have to, and that's what's really great is, okay, so I can export that as a YouTube video, EPUB, and then go back if I want to, keep the free account and just go over those pages or add to those pages or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good feature. I like that feature. I didn't know that you can export your project into YouTube video and that's a good option.
Mm-hmm. And I like with Google Slides too. Our students use a lot of PDFs, so I can also do like a whole study guide in an interactive study guide in Google Slides and add all the information I want. They answer all the questions in Google Slides. It's easier for them to type in there, and they can draw, add a picture, whatever, and then they can export that as a PDF to submit through Blackboard, because Blackboard seems to love PDF. So that is another really great advantage of having, or they can print it out, but a really great advantage of doing it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like that option. And all of the apps, the Google apps you can export as a PDF or
Mm-hmm.
a doc file, a docx or PPT for PowerPoint, whatever it is, Excel. But yeah, it's nice to have that option because you can display it on your website, you can put it into your digital portfolio also.
Mm-hmm.
So and you can even just keep it saved in Google Drive for reference later.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have those features. Do your students, so like where I use Google Classroom, so like right now I'm using a HyperDoc. I throw it into an assignment and I I set the permissions as students can view the file. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
force a copy for them because mine is not set up where they have to I don't know. It's a little different. Like mine is more for resources,
Mm-hmm.
not for assessments. Like how you're using it, you want them to respond to you through the HyperDoc. I'm using it more for a resource guide. So like in Google Classroom, I just create the assignment and attach it to the assignment as make the file for read only or view only.
Mm-hmm.
And then the students all have the file. I don't have to worry about the content getting deleted or, the kids aren't accessing it. It's just one copy of the file. Do you find that the kids are their files in their drive or their whatever account they're using, is it getting to be too overwhelming for them where they can't find the files in
No,
in their drive?
I think that's why Google Classroom was so awesome. And my kids, last year were like, "Oh, we really like that because it automatically organizes it for them." Because
Yeah.
everything when you create that class, everything, it automatically creates that folder and everything goes in that folder.
Yeah.
So, and what you're saying about not messing up the content, that's why I have them do the forced copy, because then they have that resource in their Google Drive. And
You don't find them having a hard time locating the file or?
no, because it's all in that one folder. And whatever class, intro to media. So it automatically creates that folder for the class. The only thing I do, I have to tell them, we do a whole full week of
File management.
Google file management, where I tell them, okay, pick a color and that you're gonna remember this by, then I have them make sure I show them when I do a forced copy, you guys need to rename that file. Otherwise, you're going to have all these files in there that are copy of, copy of, copy of, copy of. So that's another reason why I have them.
You actually act. I mean, I see what you're doing, because that's what I used to do with our students too. Is go over some file management with them, so that they are aware of renaming the document, color coding, creating files and folders. Because Google Classroom does all that behind the scenes, and students just go into Classroom, access the information, and everything's there. But if you're not using it, like you're using Blackboard, students have to use Drive and access your files that way. So they're actually, I mean, it's a little more work for you, because you have to teach them file management and more of a how to stay organized, and then you go into your lesson. So I think your kids are going to be a little bit more well-rounded as far as file management, organization, creating folders, renaming files, moving files into different folders. I think it's important.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think even for adult, that I am so amazed sometimes that even some of the teachers don't realize that you can organize your files in Google Drive, color code the folders, rename them, put a folder within a folder. It's that they can do all that and keep it. Now, you go into the shared with me, that's just a rabbit hole that there's no organizing that.
Yeah, you can't organize shared with me.
No,
I don't recommend that you do that anyway.
Yeah, so I just know. But your own drive. And then I tell the kids with stuff that we work on collaboratively, like notes and things, I said, it's going to go into, if you go into your shared with me, move it to your drive and then put it in your folder, because that doesn't change anything, so then everyone has it.
Right. Now, did you ever think of using Team Drive with them?
I've never heard Team Drive?
Team Drive? Are you a Google for Education school? Okay, so Team Drive is it has been out probably for, I don't know, almost a year.
Okay.
It is part of Google Drive. So under My Drive, it'll say Team Drive, and Team Drive, no one's the owner, but you can add members and you can give members permissions or different level access to the files in the folder in your Team Drive. So you can actually create a Team Drive for your class and put your Hyperdoc in the Team Drive, add all of your students to have access to that folder, and give them like view access only. And that eliminates that whole forcing the copy to them.
Oh, see, I don't know. I wonder if they didn't enable that on our.
They may. You may want to inquire about that, because it's been out for, I want to say, don't quote me on this, but it could be about a year now. And it's a sharing permission, but the difference is, like, there's no owner. But the administrator can add and remove members very easily. You can set level permissions very easily to the team, to the Team Drive, which would be files and folders. Yeah, definitely look into that, because that may be something that can help you and then maybe work a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds familiar, so I probably heard about it and looked at it, and it was probably just something our administrator hasn't enabled yet, or didn't, for whatever reason. There was a reason why they didn't do it. Um,
Yeah,
so
but
I'll have to,
I mean, if you quite, it doesn't hurt to ask,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, that definitely, I have to look into that. Now, that's one of the reasons why I hate Dropbox, because, um, like we have a shared Dropbox folder where I put in all the kids' um, their projects that go on our television show. Well, that shared folder takes up room on their individual Dropbox. Well, I had a student the other day who his Dropbox was full, so he emptied that entire folder. And in turn, so I go in there and it's like, where's all my kids' stuff? He didn't realize that when he emptied it in his Dropbox, that he was emptying it in everyone's Dropbox.
Yeah.
I had to go back in and recover. So that's what I like so much about Google Drive. It just works a lot better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, maybe check out Team Drive, see if
Mm-hmm.
it'll help you, you know. It may be what you're looking for,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But that's great. That's great information, Christine. Thank you. Do you
Oh,
have
you're
anything
welcome.
else that you want to add, or are you done?
No, I think that's it. I hope that, everyone learned something, and
I think
Hyperdocs are,
I think it was a great topic to talk about because like I said, I think people just use Hyperdocs as as a
mm-hmm.
document. And really, like I never thought of using it for in Google Slides. So I might readjust my thinking too and add
Mm-hmm.
the videos in there like how you have instead of just a link. I can just embed the whole video in the slide because then at least the kids see, okay, you have 4 videos you have to watch.
Yeah,
And each one's on its own slide.
right. And
You know?
also, when you embed the video, it takes out the ads, and it doesn't go
Yeah.
to YouTube, so they're not going, because if you just put the link, they go to YouTube, and then they see everything on the side, and suddenly they're off in
Yeah, they're already
Fortnite.
off track. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So it
Yeah,
keeps
I
them really
definitely
on
like
track.
that.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps them more focused on the assignment on the task at hand, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So great, great. Thank you for sharing all that information. I think that's going to be very helpful for people who were watching the show or are going to tune in later on.
Okay. Well, thank you for
So
having me.
thank you very much. And I'm just going to share my screen really quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put, okay. Can you see my screen?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the show notes on the Sweet Talk website, which
Okay.
is, if you Google the Sweet Talk, it'll come up in the search results. And under the episodes tab, I am going to insert tonight's episode YouTube link and show notes here. So if anybody wants to get in touch with Christine, you can click on the show notes and get her information there. And if you would like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, the YouTube channel is bit.ly/the Sweet Talk channel. If you'd like to email me, thesweettalkshow@gmail.com. And here is my website, bit.ly/the Sweet Talk website. And if you would like to be a guest on my show, visit my website and go over to the guest tab. And please fill out this form, and I will definitely be in touch with you as soon as I can. So with that said, my next show is going to probably be, I'm thinking Saturday, and I am going to go over some really cool things about Google Classroom that some teachers may need to know about how to close out the year. So that's on my agenda. So until then, thank you for joining us, and I will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.